because there's something I really want to kind of show them, like we need to come together and you need to come out to New York and really help out. If I had to guess at it, I'm assuming it might be something related to, you don't want to go to the bathroom where you sleep anyway. So, he's a New Yorker, so
it's his hometown.
His hometown. So I don't know if that's the case, but I know with some people I see that are, people who are activists around the country, that's sometimes what they do.
So do you have a Twitter page?
I do. And my Twitter and Instagram, and some of those who have Parler, use Parler as well.
I got Parler.
Yeah, okay, great. I love Parler.
That's all they'll let me on.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Is that?
You gotta go on Gap.
Does it turn New York
But
red
if
or
you
is it your name?
Yeah, Turn New York Red. If you hashtag Turn New York Red on Twitter or Facebook, you'll see just different stuff that I've done with Turn New York Red hashtag. I'm using that for a lot of different things. So you'll see me pop up that way. But if you're trying to find me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or Parler, all you gotta do is put at Chris Wright N-N-Y. That's not the letter N, it's spelled N-I-N. So Chris, my last name Wright with a W, like
Chris
Wright
Wright
Brothers.
in New York.
Yep, Chris Wright N-N-Y. And not New York spelled out, just N-Y.
N-N-Y.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Parler.
Facebook is, I see on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, Christopher.
Chris, we'll take your information. I'll post that up so that everybody will have just one post they could find on our page so they could see what you actually have. Yeah, we'll take care. Well, I could write it down.
Information to our email list.
I could write it down, no big deal.
Two things, actually. I think on Facebook, the algorithms, the way they use it is that even though I say now my information public, I never keep anything just for friends. But I don't know many public really see it because through the Facebook, they kind of, stop you from reaching anybody. Because I don't see people that I know are posting on my wall, so that's one of the things. Another thing, October 3rd in Staten Island, there is a rally. They call it New York Triumph. I do believe that it's the one, these are black inmates. Okay, and they're out there voicing their and saying, don't mess with us because we know what it is and it was because of Trump that we're outside free, okay, and that we got justice. So I believe there is that also if you want to do that too. But the walkaway in DC is great.
Oh yeah.
And you're part of that?
Yeah, I'm definitely part of Walkway. Like, so my first video I did for Walkway was my first ever video, went viral because of Brandon Strock. And Brandon invited me to the 1-year anniversary for Walkway in DC, where I got to be one of the guest speakers there. So me and Brandon know each other. I got his number. We talk on a consistent basis.
That's great.
He's a real patriot.
Would you like to have Brandon as a guest speaker?
Yeah, wouldn't that be?
So you got to go on his page to see what's going on.
He should come here.
Because you're not
That'd be
going to
awesome.
see it a lot of times.
And what I like about Brandon, what he's done with Walkway, is he's given a verse to like in a grassroots way, because especially for young people, like it's the only options other than grassroots on the right with the Walkway movement and the young conservative groups is Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And I have a huge issue with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. To me, they are local terrorist organizations, and they're funded by George Soros and Clinton Foundation money. They cause terror, destruction, they're rioting, looting, killing. There's been more lives murdered, Black lives murdered in the name of Black lives that have been saved in the last 4 months. There's been blacks being killed at these rallies and these events they have. So when I did my Turn New York Red rally, our mayor de Blasio said you can't do any event here unless it's Black Lives Matter related until September. So what I did was I did my Turn New York Red rally, but I said, okay, you guys want to play that game? Let me play your game. Black Lives Matter. How about all Black Lives Matter? Since there's been over 30 Black lives you guys have killed at your marches and your events, what about those Black lives? What about David Dorn, the black officer who was defending his friend's business, who got shot right in front of it, and they put it on Facebook Live and mocked the man while he was dying? What about that? What about the young black boy right in Brooklyn who got killed by gunfire? You didn't hear nothing about that. The black officers who have been killed at these Black Lives Matter rallies, well, I'm sure they were called coons and Uncle Toms by people on the left before they got shot and killed. What about those people? What about those black lives?
Today, you heard it was the 2 LAPD shot in the head.
At the hospital, they tried
And
to
then they were
storm the
saying,
hospital.
and they locked the hospital, and they said, we hope he died. We hope they die.
Wow,
Yeah.
serious?
This is today.
Yeah, I saw that.
They blocked the
I saw
entrance
that.
to the hospital.
Oh my
And they
God.
said, we hope they die.
Yeah, we hope they
Isn't
die.
that nice?
That's what they
They're
did
good
with
people, everyone. Support them.
Black Lives Matter.
Hey,
Black Lives
hey,
Matter. Black
support
Lives
them.
Matter, everybody.
Wake up, America.
Do you know about...
What happened when you did all Black Lives Matter? What was that about? When you did that?
When I did that, I got quite a bit of backlash. And of course, Black Lives Matter was there, so they sent some people like to kind of confront us. And what happened was there's a guy, Eugene Bokai, I might pronounce that wrong. He's running down in Baltimore as a congressman for the Republican side. And this guy, born and raised in Baltimore, like I said, I grew up near Maryland, right next to Baltimore, walking distance away. And Baltimore, as anybody's been there, is not a soft city. It's a pretty rough, tough city. So when he was up there, you know, I was giving my point of view and, you know, saying my point and taking the facts and the evidence, you know, about my point. And then he would get up there and he was just, in your face. So when they kind of came to confront us, I was hitting him with the facts and information, and he was being like a little aggressive back at him, like, we're not backing down. We're not afraid of you guys. So when I noticed with the left, what they really didn't know what to do with us, because like I said, they got their talking points. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a Nazi. Oh, da 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 da. And so when they saw us, they couldn't use those talking points.
These days.
Yeah, pretty much. And with us, they couldn't use our talking points, so they just really didn't know what to do. They were really in shock. And at first, we got heated, and then it got to the point where they just kind of sat back and like actually listened to what we had to say. And when they were listening, we had the information. We weren't, you know, we're not like them where it's like, you know, they put a camera, a mic in front of our face. We're like, you know, we know what to do. Like, we got people that were there that were like from all walks of life. You know, we had guys there who were from Russia, who were there during communism and the Soviet Union, who were there, who are looking at, who talk to me and say, Chris, what the heck? Like, I left Russia to get away from this craziness. Now I see college kids walking the streets, say, bring in communism, bring in socialism. Like, what in the world? And I'm like, hey, you don't tell me. I saw the Berlin Wall fall right there with you as a little boy. But, you know, I know you saw it as an adult soldier, and you saw it from the real deal angle. I saw it from like, what is going on? And you knew what was going on. You got the heck out of there. So, you know, I'm here fighting for the cause. Like I said, I remember growing up, my grandparents were always anti-communist. Like my friends' grandparents, my grandparents, every time you talked about communism, it was like, get rid of them, no communism in this country. They were so adamant about it. And now, in my generation, the millennials, we're walking out here trying to promote it. And it's just, it's crazy. It's really insane. And we got to turn things around. And that's, you know, and a big part of that education, when I'm realizing with the younger generation, Generation Z, which is like 20 younger age range, I call them the internet generation. They were born and raised on the internet. I'm an 83 baby, so I was born in the 80s and 36 years old, soon to be 37. But when I realized this, our generation, I remember when the internet came out. My dad was military, he knew about the internet 10 years prior. So by the time it hit the public, he took us to the library the day it came out, and we knew about it, 28.8K modems going slow. So a lot of my generation still listens to the television set, and CNN and MSNBC and all
the phonograph.
Not the phonograph.
That's a good one.
Before time. Not much, a little bit. Yeah, so, you know, and they get manipulated and brainwashed a lot easier. But I see with Gen Z, when I went to TPUSA events, the Young Black Leadership Summit, a lot of kids, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16 years old, come to me. They knew me. Oh my gosh, I love your YouTube. You're amazing. I can't believe I'm meeting you. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what's the big deal? I'm just walking down the phone and recording myself. But I realized then, by talking to them, that I'm their source of news. Like, not the Don Lemons and not the Anderson Poopers and all those idiots, but me. And I said, wow, this is because I'm like, you guys are the internet generation. You really, they look at TV like it's so old-fashioned. So there's a good, positive outlook on the future, because I look at the young people, like I said, the internet generation, a lot of them, they don't listen to the fake news in the mainstream media. They get their news right from YouTube and the content creators like myself. So there is a future. We just got to keep fighting, getting out there, getting our voices heard, and I feel in time things will improve.
Chris, what do you see about the young black people in New York? I worked for many years with the Beaver Poets Cafe. I curated the poetry slam there.
Oh, really?
For about
I've been there
years I did.
Wow.
But they were all Democrats. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
every time they got up, it was always to hate. So what do you? I'm kind of. I don't reach out to them. I try to talk to them, but they think I'm totally crazy.
Of course.
So how do you deal? Have you noticed kids like that, or what about the artistic community in New York?
Definitely, I got family members that consist of those kids. What I noticed, first and foremost, and not to bring race into it, but you know, just got to bring it up, is when a white person tries to school them, they're gonna do talking point.
Right.
Oh, you're a white supremacist. I don't want to hear it. And they cut you off. So so a lot of times you got to hear it from somebody in the black community. And what I learned at the TPUSA event, you know, when you got blacks, we're Americans like everybody else, so we're diverse all around the country. You got some blacks who grew up in like suburban neighborhoods, you got blacks who grew up in inner cities, you got blacks that grew up middle class, upper middle class, whatever it may be. So when I went to the TPUSA event, when I would speak, people would gather around, listen to what I had to say, certain people. And then when like, there's a guy, Tony Montaga, who's here in New York. He's a little more brash than I am, you know, the cuss words come out a little more freely than would be. But when he would speak, there'll be a different crowd of black people gather around him. But we're both saying the same message overall. He's just delivering it this way, I'm delivering it another way. So there's blacks that are willing to listen to what you have to say. But a lot of times you got to have another black person who's not only black though, but fits, they can relate to. Because somebody maybe from the inner city might hear I talk very proper. My parents are big on the way you speak and carry yourself, so I might come to somebody from the inner city, grew up, who speaks in a lot of slang, and they be black, but when they hear me, they're like, oh man, you can't relate to me. You don't know where I'm coming from. You know, I've been in my rough situations growing up myself, but just the voice turns them off. But when somebody delivers my same message in a more slang or more in your face with it, they might resonate with that person more, just because I was presented. I was involved, I didn't bring this up, I wanted to bring it up. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was involved in a YouTube video that's over 5 million views right now on YouTube. It was the Vice did the video, by the way. You know, the Vice is the left wing, but I give them credit for doing this. It was black conservatives versus black liberals. And I was on the black conservative side, along with Beverly Beatty, myself, Fernando Acosta, and Rob Smith. And, oh yeah, so they put the, yeah, you know, Beverly's my girl. I love Beverly. Yeah, so, you know, we went against 5 people on the left with versus R4. And we crushed them. So when I was about an hour and some change, about an hour and 20-minute long debate. First they released the video, it was only 7 minutes long to release. So they edited the heck out of it. And in the comment section, people loved it so much that they wanted to say, where's the rest? We know it's been edited. Where's the rest of this video? And a lot of them were leftists, because Vice member is mostly left in the comment section. I would say about 70-80% of them were on our side as conservatives. And they were like, where's the rest of the video? I like what those guys on the right had to say, but where's the rest? So then they released a hour-long version, which was still edited, because I talked about the history of the Democratic and Republican Party on that, and they still cut that part out. They let that part out.
They cut that out a lot.
Yeah, they seem to cut that part out a lot. They don't want a lot of minorities to know about that. But when they cut the hour-long version, it really showed how bad we beat them up. And a lot of people in the comment section were like, wow. Like, I didn't know like black conservatives even existed, but now that I'm hearing what they got to say, they make more sense than the people on the left do. So a lot of people in the comment section were on our side over their side. So there are a lot of blacks out there that are willing to listen, but it doesn't seem like it because, of course, the mainstream media just shows the Black Lives Matter radicals rioting, looting, and all that, and it just looks like there's no hope. But there is hope because I've seen it firsthand. And like I said, just a lot of times it's just getting that person, that voice that resonates with that particular person to get them to listen. And once they listen, and if they got enough logic, they'll realize that one party obviously was against black people throughout history, the other party helped black people throughout history. It's just right there in front of your face, so I want to do the research.
What do you think is the percentage now of the black population that's for the president?
If I took it for President Trump, and this is not the Republican Party, but for specifically President Trump, I want to say before COVID, and I'm still thinking, you know, we're getting through COVID, I want to stay around the same number. I want to say about, I think it's going to be 40% of the black vote is going to vote for Trump.
No, he's getting about like a 56%, I heard, I saw.
Because, you know, they were saying that if it was over like 13%, 15%, Democrats are not going to win the election. Which is 40%, that's amazing. I thought it was in the 20s.
No, I've seen it grow. I've seen it grow firsthand. Just from like when I just started in Trump, just from the election, there was black people, you know, and it's starting to happen after this 2020 election with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, whatever the radical leftist groups. But I wasn't seeing Black Lives Matter, just people that were black attacking white people. Right after Trump got elected, because they felt like, okay, Hitler's in office, we're going to just attack any white people. They're so angry. And it went from
Middle East, good Hitler.
Yeah, Hitler, you know, exactly. You know, but as now in 2020, I see so many black voices fighting for Trump.
Yeah.
Like before, I was like, I can put two main like a dinner table's worth of people. Don't worry about this, but it was like a dinner table's worth of black people who support the president at that time frame. And they, you know, and I was included in that. So I remember me, you know, seeing this group of people, talking to a lot of them. Like we were like a handful of people. From that, now, I mean, there's so many black commentators on YouTube right now that support President Trump. It's amazing.
You know, just an observation, but, you know, being that, I guess, just to say this, okay, but the way I see that us as conservatives, the way we treat each other, is just like we're all the same. In other words, okay, I'm Italian, the other one is Jewish, the other one is whatever, the Latin, you know, you're black, and there's, you know, all kinds of different people. But we're all like here and we're interacting with each other. And there's no real difference. In other words, we're not singling each other out. But we're just saying we're here because we love the government, we love the country, and we want to make our country good for everybody, because that's the way we are. We are for everybody. You know, it's to keep bringing stuff back the way the Democrats do.
Well, they do.
It works in their own disfavor, because
with the race.
when you look at it, Frederick Douglass is the one that started with you know, with other people, you know, with other white people, the Republican Party. So when you see that, it's really, and Martin Luther King was a Republican, okay? And the first, I believe, the first 12 or 16 congressmen or something after the Civil War, they were all black.
First congressman Republican in 1856.
You know,
they tried to pass civil rights for blacks back in the 1800s, but then a white Democrat at the time beat this guy who was trying, a congressman with a cane, almost to death, all live on the Senate floor because he was trying to get civil rights passed for
And
blacks
my
and
biggest
Republicans.
shock, you know, I'm an immigrant, you know, let's put it that way. I wasn't born here, but this country is my country, and I fight for it, you know, and every place that I go, and I'm not afraid to talk to people. As a matter of fact, I told Max Roswell the other day, he was Friday, he was at the civil, he was at the vigil, and I saw him and I saw Nicole. I went up to Nicole, then I went up to him, and I screamed. Everybody heard me. I said, I told them off. I told them all kinds of names. I didn't call it, I don't curse him, of course. But I told him he's a liar, and he's, you know, and everything else, and he was saying, man, can you take someplace, you lower your, I said, no, my voice.
I'm going to expose you right here in front of
Yeah, I'm going to tell you in front of everybody what I think of you.
Good.
And everybody there, they were all for Nicole. They were all for Nicole over there that night.
Yeah, you know,
We
it's
had
funny.
to call that hour vigil too in Baker Heights.
Yes,
Kinley Park.
I got that news too late and I couldn't be there.
Yeah, funny you said it because the first time I ever heard about conservatism was when I was in Georgia, and this was about 2 weeks after Obama in 08 first got elected. And I was still a Democrat at the time, and you know, I was like, yes, you can, all day long, all that good stuff. So I was doing cable, I went to a guy's house, and this guy was like the, you know, stereotypical, what redneck they would call, you know, long strangly hair, Budweiser cans, Confederate flags hanging on the wall, the whole nine. So I kind of walk in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, let me get the heck out of here as fast as possible, you know? So, but I went there, you know, I ended up, you know, the guy thought I just had to swap the box out, but he had bad service coming, bad signal coming to his box, so we need new lines all the way from the outside coming back in. So I started working on running new lines from gun, top of my ladder out, got on the pole, started running a new tap, a new line. And he saw me running, it was the Georgia Sun. He's like, oh man, I thought you said to come here and swap my box out. I didn't know you had to do all this. He was like, man, you're working real hard out here. Let me go get something to eat, drink, and you just keep doing your thing, and you know, you're doing a great job. So he ended up giving me something to eat, something to drink. We ended up talking, went from small talk to sports, regular stuff. Then we got into politics. And you know, we got into politics, you know, found out, you know, and you know, we got in a real good conversation, and I was heading back to my truck. He said, young man, can I ask you one thing before you go about your day? I said, sure. Who'd you vote for in this last election? And we kind of looked at each other like, I was like, come on, go on. And he was like, okay, look, I understand. First black president in American history. Guess what? I hope he does a great job. You know why? And I said, why, sir? He's like, because if he does a great job, the country does great. And when he said that, I was like, wow, I didn't expect to kind of hear that. That you're an enemy in a way. And he was like, now he asked you a few more questions, and then I'll be done. I said, sure. He's like, do you believe in a smaller government? I said, yes. Do you believe in traditional family values? I said, yes. Do you believe in, you know, protecting Christians' rights and everything? I was like, yes. You know, and he was just going down his checklist, just going down, lower taxes, boom, 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 and I was like, yes, 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 yes. And he's like, you know what that was? And I said, no, sir. He's like, that's conservatism. I said, really? And he's like, yes. He's like, you're an intelligent, well-spoken young man. I got a feeling you're going to consider conservatism one day. If that day comes, remember this conversation we had. And I said, okay. I said, okay, sir. I went back in my truck, I closed the door, I rolled my eyes, and I was like, yeah, right, buddy. Like, no way. Welcome. But yes, but here I am. And I always tell that story to people because that was the first time I ever in my life heard about it, when technically it should have been a black family member of mine, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent. This should have been the one to first tell me about the history of both parties. But they didn't know just as much as I didn't know, because it's generations of brainwashing that are going on in the black community.
You come from a military background.
Yes.
One of the things that we need, in other words, I always consider myself, even when I worked in my office, I always say, we're the soldiers, you're the lead, you're the general. I said, what is the call to arms? We need right now, we're actually almost at the last part of the race. Okay, we need to have, in other words, let us know what the call to arms is, so that we can all get fired up and say, okay, we're going to distribute flyers, we're going to do this, go by the churches, talk to people, because I don't care that I'm working, right? I want to be able to give my time and say, I'm going to be there that day or whatever. This is what the call to arms is.
I agree. And one thing the radical left does, and I don't want to give them credit for anything, but if I had to give them credit for one thing, is what they do is they make one phone call and have 50 people right there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, Christopher, whenever you have any event, let us text me, let me know. So
That's
you can let
right.
everyone know.
Yes, and that's what I'm earlier with the unity within our own groups. So we got to do the same thing as them. Because, you know, I ran into Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I've been called a black Nazi in the past. You know, and they don't care. They'll attack you if you're, you know, women, children.
They don't care.
Black, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter. Handicapped.
Disgraceful.
Handicapped.
Did somebody say the 26th of this month in Staten Island, there's a rally. They don't know where it is going to be yet, and I'm not sure. I think
Oh,
it's
the
against.
26th?
You know about? Did you say that before? Or?
I don't. I said the 3rd, but the 26th.
There is some.
Is that the
26th,
one
yeah.
about
with Bevelin.
I don't know
Oh,
where
yes,
I got
yes.
it from.
Bevelin.
Inmate?
Yes, the one on Beverly.
Right.
Yes, Beverly.
Everybody got to get together. Like
We do.
many groups should go, and then they're going to
It's
listen
the
to us.
26th. You know, Bellin has a Jesus Matters